Okay, last section. Alright, I feel like I'm talking forever. Okay, the binomial distribution. This is that lovely, long, complicated formula. People just adore. I know I do. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to set up the formula, and then there's a table in the back of your book where, unless they want the exact probability, like unfortunately in this question they do, okay? For most of them, you can answer it by looking at this chart in the back of your book. Unless they say to use the formula, which they do on one of these problems here, okay, where you really have to use it. Most of them can be found by just looking at this, thing in the back of your book. So, I remember I told you earlier you will need to know that NCR. It's more stuff about factorial. Well, here is the formula. The formula is n factorial all over n minus x factorial times, this is your p, to the x, whoops, make that look like an x, times q, okay, to the n minus x. What is that? Well, this thing right here is the same as ncx. Or as I showed you, it wasn't your calculator, it might be written as ncr. But that's the same thing, okay? So if you don't have time to do all that math that I just showed you, you can use the NCR shortcut in your calculator. But you will still have to do whatever this comes out to be, times p to the x times q to whatever n minus x is, okay? So I'm going to show you how to set this up in this problem. Now, we have to figure out what is our p, what is our n, what is our x, what is our p, and so on. So look in here, it says, they'll always give you something like a survey found 1 out of 5 Americans say to visit a doctor. Well, guess what? That's your p. 1 out of 5. You could write it as a decimal if you want, 0.20. It's optional. Now, they don't give me a q. To find q, you have to do 1 minus whatever your p is. In this case, 1/5 or 0.20. It doesn't matter. So you get 4/5, or if you want to make it a decimal, 0.80. No big deal. Now it says if 20 people are selected at random, hey, that's my n equals 20, alright. What's the probability that exactly 11? So it's going to ask you what is the probability that, exactly 2, exactly 5. X is equal to 11. So now I have my p, q, and an x. I don't see any other variables here that I'll need. C is part of the formula. C is in for combinations. Have a calculator. Usually what you have to do is enter in your first number, 20, then hit that PRB button on your calculator, find the NCR, hit that, and then it might say something like NCR, something like that, and then you're going to hit 11. Now from here you would just do times and keep going with the rest of your formula, okay? So you could do all this at once in the calculator, you could do it separately and multiply it at the end. Up to you. So I have this first one, okay? And now I'm going to times it by 1/5 or 0.20, doesn't matter, to the 11th power. My q is 4/5, and 20 minus 11 is going to give me 9. So I can type all this into a calculator and get my answer, or I did it individually. So this came out to be this big old number here times this comes out to be a really teensy-weensy number. There's 7 zeros. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2. And then this comes out to be really long decimal as well. 1.342177728. Oh, I'm running out of room. Yeah, so if you can do it all on your calculator once, it's going to save you a lot of writing, okay? So I would say most calculators, you would just trust and be able to punch this in and get the answer. Well, working this all out, you end up with 0.00045, and if you go back up to our answer choices, we don't have that, but the closest we have is this, where you rounded 0.00045 to 0.005, okay? Now, I know that you're sitting here going, I gotta do all this work for this problem? Yeah. Because if you look in the back of your book, and the table is on page 770, and we're going to talk about that in another problem, okay? If you go and you find your n, you find your x, and you look at your, p, it's not going to have anything. It's going to be blank. And in that case, it represents 0. But if you notice, 0 is not an answer here. That's where you have to do the formula to get the real answer. The reason why is once in the back of the book, these zeros, there's too many zeros in front of the number. They just assume it's 0. So most time your teacher wants to be really specific and they want that answer. They don't want 0. It'd be a lot nicer if they did because it'd save you a lot of work, but it's okay. It's alright, we're going to do what they want us to do and do the formula. Okay, let's look at the next one. The next one is the same type of problem. Notice it doesn't say anything about using the formula. I'm going to show you how to look at the formula. But this is where I say, hey guys, go to your table on page 770 and we're going to write out what everything is. It says here 30%, boom, that's my P. P is equal to 0.30. We make everything a decimal, which would mean Q. 1 minus 0.30, 0.70, okay? I need to find N. So it says here, if 17 atoms are selected at random, N is 7. What's the probability that 4 of them? So X is 4. Okay? If I had to set up my formula would be 7, choose 4, alright, times 0.30 to the 4th power times 0.70 to the 3rd power, okay? And I punch that into the calculator. But we don't have to because our answer is in the table. So if you follow it, and I wish I could show you, but I can't, you should get A. So if you're not sure, go to this table on this page, try to do this with the table, and this should be the answer that you'll get. See if you can do it before you take the test. Now, number 3. Ah, they got us. Gotta do it. Can't get away with it, okay? Alright. And this one's exact. So I think I did look in the back of the book just to see what it said. And I don't remember if it was the same. But it's okay, we'll use the formula. Okay. Notice we're kind of missing some stuff. It says a quarter is caused 5 times. What is the probability of getting exactly 3 tails? Well, where's our P? Where's our probability? Oh, it's a quarter. What are our choices? 50-50. Tails or heads. Sometimes if you're missing information, it should be right in front of you, okay? Like if it said, throwing a die. But we talked about throwing dice earlier, that, you have a 1 out of 6 chance. So you would use that, okay? And so in our case, P is equal to 0.50. Probability of getting heads or tails, whatever they want to know. What's my Q? Hey, 0.50 as well, 50-50. Now, my N is 5, because I'm throwing it 5 times, and my X is 3, and they want to know what probability of getting exactly 3 tails. So, set up my formula. It's 5, choose 3 in the calculator, times 0.50 to the 3rd power times 0.50 to the 2nd power. Alright, I'm going to multiply all that out. Whenever I do, the answer I end up with is this one right here. Please, please, please try to do this in your calculator so you can try to get the answer, okay? Alright. This next one. Now notice the last one, I'm skipping this 4th one for a second, even says use table B in appendix C. Hey, that's that page 770. What? Alright. And then they give you all the information there. So, hopefully you have that, you can do it, but we'll plug in the formula just to show you. Now, this first one, number 4 here, says, okay, 4% of cell phones are found to be defective by the mean variance and standard deviation from a lot of 500. Okay, now you're probably thinking, my God, this previous formula was nuts. What is the formula for the mean, standard variance, and standard deviation? It's actually not that bad, okay? So, for some reason, they give you one complicated formula, the other one's easy. Well, mu is just whatever n times p is. Variance, which is the sigma squared, is n times p times q. And of course, sigma is just going to be whatever this is, square root of it. My variance, okay? So, let's find this out. Well, I know that there's 500, that's my n. My p is 4%, so times 0.04. When I multiply that in the calculator, I end up with 20. So I know it's got to be between one of those two. So let's go ahead and find our sigma. Figure that one out. I'm sorry, not our sigma squared, okay, our variance. So our variance is going to be 500 times 0.04. So we didn't figure out Q. Q is 1 minus 0.04, which should be 0.96. So times 96. Punch all that in the calculator and guess what you get? It's this one. So you don't even have to take the square root to get the standard deviation. But if you did, you would just take 19.2, take the square root of it, you should get 4.4, okay? But that's the answer today. Now, let's go down here to the very last one. Alright, and I'm going to plug it into the formula, so if you had to, you knew what it looked like. So I have P, but I don't have Q. 1 minus 0.30 is 70. Okay, so if I had to set this up, this would be 2, choose 1, times 0.30 to the second power, times not 60, 70, sorry, times 0.70 to the first power. Okay. And that would be it. That's all I have to do. Whoops, wait a minute, hang on. This is 1. Whoops. Sorry there, I kind of messed up. This is going to be x, and then x. I forgot about it. This is x, so x is 1, my God. And this is going to be n minus 1, which is also 1. So I would punch this in the formula, or I'd use the back of my book, which gives me this one right there. Okay, so I hope you will do well on your test. Try to answer every question. Show as much work as possible. Be careful about rounding in the middle of a problem so you don't mess anything up. Write a bunch of stuff down, okay? And if you need to know how to do any of the stuff that I showed you in the calculator or in the back of your book looking at this table, you can definitely try to come by and see one of our tutors over at Academic Support either tonight or tomorrow and morning for your exam, and we can go over some stuff. Alright, hopefully this helps. Good luck. Thanks for watching.